Wambanagu Wiradjuri Normbung. Welcome to Wiradjuri country. Wambanagu Parks Normbung. Welcome to Parks country. Parks is a big area. We have a lot of things going on here. We have a mine, one of the best mines in Australia. They help us as much as they can, and we return by helping them. It's a community, a full-on community thing. Northparkes has never stepped back away from us. They've always helped us. Yes, they belong to other peoples from other countries, which is a good thing because it brings them together and it brings them to us and us to them. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to all who've joined today's virtual tour of the Northparkes mine. Northparkes is a multi-decade copper mine with gold and silver byproducts located in New South Wales, Australia. That's about 380 kilometres west of Sydney and 27 kilometres northwest of the town of Parkes. Northparkes has been in operation for over 25 years and has a strong track record of production, reserve replacement and support from local stakeholders. Originally discovered in 1976 and in production since 1994, Northparkes ownership is split between CMOC and Sumitomo, with each owning 80% and 20% of the assets respectively. The highly mechanized and efficient block caving and sub-level caving mining methodologies. In 2015, Northparkes achieved a milestone when its E48 Lift 1 block cave mine became the first underground mine in the world to achieve full automation. In addition to being a highly productive, low-cost mine, Northparkes is leading ESG practices in Australia and is well known for its leading performance in this area.
Welcome to the virtual tour of CMOC Northparkes Mines. Zero harm is our approach to every aspect of our operations. We care for our people, our equipment, our environment, and the community in which we live and work. It is how we work. It is doing every task the right way every time. Not because we have to, but because we want to.
Northparkes Mine is located 27 kilometres northwest of the town of Parkes in regional New South Wales. The underground copper and gold mine produces high-grade copper and gold concentrate, which is then transported to Port Kembla via rail and then by ship to its international customers.
Block caving is an underground mining technique used to mine large, massive, low-grade ore bodies such as the deposits at Northparkes. The ore to be extracted is in the shape of a large irregular block which can be up to 500 metres in height and several hundred metres in length. The development stage at Northparkes began by gaining access to the ore body with a gently sloping tunnel called the decline and a vertical shaft. The shaft is used to carry mined ore to the surface. The decline is used to transport people and equipment into the mine and to provide fresh air to the mine. The decline and other drives are created by drilling and blasting using a machine called a jumbo. All tunnels are supported by rock bolts and shotcrete to ensure they are safe. After the access is created, a series of parallel extraction drives are developed from one side of the ore body to the other. Between the extraction drives, drawbells are developed. The undercut level is developed at the same time as the extraction drives. Rings of drill holes are charged and fired from one side of the ore body to the other. The drawbells are drilled and blasted to become a series of funnels that will feed the broken ore to a draw point. This process breaks a layer of rock across the bottom of the block of ore and leaves a large unsupported area which starts fracturing and caving under its own weight. The ore body starts to cave once the undercut is complete and ore is removed from the drawbells, creating a void. Once the development is complete and the ore body has been undercut, the mining process is relatively simple, with continual fracturing and breaking of the rocks to smaller rocks for extraction without any further blasting. Special low-profile load-haul dump vehicles collect the broken ore from the draw points and dump it in the underground crusher. The crusher breaks it down into smaller pieces which are then loaded onto a conveyor, transported to an ore skip and hoisted via the vertical shaft to the surface to be processed at the mill. The block cave ultimately breaks through to the surface and a subsidence zone is formed. Over time, and as more ore is extracted from the cave below, the subsidence zone deepens and widens.
Northparkes mine was the first block cave mine in Australia, which uses a continuous process to extract ore from the mineral deposit. Until recently, the LHDs were driven by manual operators who spent up to 10 hours a day driving back and forth along the extraction drives. In these systems, rather than driving the underground vehicle from inside the cabin, the operator is located safely on the surface and controls the vehicle via remote control. As operator intervention is only required in a small portion of the production cycle, one operator is able to control 3 or 4 machines. The AutoMine system, developed by Northparkes Mines, is a true mass mining system that provides a steady flow of ore from the extraction level 24 hours a day. The AutoMine system incorporates planning, scheduling and cave management while removing personnel from all hazardous conditions underground. The Northparkes AutoMine is the future for cost-effective mining of low-grade ore at depth.
Primary crushing of ore occurs underground. Once above ground, the ore is transported via conveyor belts to a plate feeder, screen and secondary crusher to reduce ore size. It is then transported to the stockpiles. Crushed ore is reclaimed from the base of each stockpile by 4 vibrating feeders in each reclaim tunnel. From here, the ore is transported by conveyors to the grinding mills. The 2 grinding circuits each include a semi-autogenous grinding or SAG mill, an oversized crusher and bull milling circuits. As the SAG mill and bull mill revolves, steel balls and pieces of ore pound against one another, reducing the size of the rock. The ore, now a fine slurry powder, is transported to the flotation circuit. Flotation. Slurry from the grinding modules flow to the flotation tank cells, where it is mixed with reagents and agitated to produce a bubbly froth. Ore particles containing the minerals stick to the bubbles. This material is called concentrate. The concentrate is then pumped to the thickening area. The remaining particles depleted of the minerals pass through the circuit to become tailings. Concentrate thickening and filtration. The concentrate from the flotation circuit is transported to thickeners, where water is removed to produce a thickened density of concentrate. Filtration uses a vacuum effect via ceramic disc filters to remove all moisture from thickened concentrate. The filtered dry concentrate is then dropped into bays to be loaded into containers and transported to our customers. Northparkes has over 600 million tonnes of resources underpinning our vision of a century of mining together. We have been operating for over 25 years and continue to explore our 1,500 square kilometre tenement package in the highly prospective Lachlan Fold Belt to continue operations for another 75 years.
So Northparkes now want to be here for 100 years now. We've been here for 25 years and we've got some solid plans to be here for another 75 years, and that is our plans now. That's the vision for Northparkes, and then also creating basically prosperity and wealth now for its employees, for people, for the community and for the broader region of Parkes and Forbes. Our success over the last 25 years is the people and the community that work together to reach the 25 years.
In July 2020, Triple Flag announced that we had entered into a US $550 million gold and silver stream agreement with CMOC, whereby Triple Flag would stream 54% of the payable gold and 80% of the payable silver produced at Northparkes, with an ongoing payment equal to 10% a spot price. This is the largest streaming transaction in the industry announced since Triple Flag was founded in 2016, and a new cornerstone asset in the Triple Flag portfolio. The stream is for the entire life of the mine and covers all exploration and mining licenses, totaling 1,060 square kilometres. Triple Flag is proud to have committed to donating 50,000 Australian dollars annually that will go towards scholarships and community initiatives around Northparkes, further bolstering an already strong relationship with local stakeholders. We're excited for you to have the opportunity to hear from the Northparkes team, who will take you through an overview of the mine in more detail and will address some of the questions we frequently discuss with our investors. With that, I'll pass it off to the Northparkes team to introduce themselves.
So let me explain how Northparkes manage the resource and the reserve at Northparkes. We've got a 5-stage process and I will explain it briefly. Stage 1 is really the active projects. Stage 2 is where we take reserves and put it into active projects. Stage 3 is where we actually turn resources into reserves. Stage 4 is we're taking those ore bodies outside reserves and the resources and turn that into basically projects and then exploration. And I will explain it by means of an example. Let's start with our current active project, which we call E26 Lift 1 North. Now this project is in the final stages of development and construction. We're planning to start production in April of next year, and then Lift 1 North and E48 will work in tandem and will form, I guess, the basis of production for the next few years. Now the next item is taking those ore bodies that's in reserves and turn them into active projects. Now a good example there is the E22 ore body. Currently we're finishing the pre-feasibility study and we're hoping to basically turn that pre-feasibility study into a feasibility study by, I guess, the end of 2023. Parallel to that, we will also start with development by the middle of 23, so the project can come online in 2026. E22 is really the next backbone ore body at Northparkes. Now the next phase is where we're taking some of those ore bodies that is in resources into reserve. An example of that is an ore body called GRP 314. Now, over the past few years, we've done quite a bit of evaluation drilling and block modeling on that. And over the next sort of 2 years, we'll turn that evaluation and block modeling into an opportunity that we can turn that resource into reserves. The advantage for GRP 314 is it's close to existing infrastructure, and it might form an intermediate ore body as we look at bringing E22 online. The next option is for us to take those ore bodies that's currently not in the resources and reserve and turn it into resources and reserve. And a good example is an ore body called MJH. Now MJH has been the best find at Northparkes since E48. MJH is highly prospective and have high potential. Currently we're doing evaluation drilling and block modeling on that. That evaluation and block modeling will continue into next year, and we're hoping by the end of 2023 that will turn into resources in reserve. Important to note that MJH is a significant ore body at Northparkes, and it also forms part of that E26 complex. Last but not least is to make some brief comments about our exploration program at Northparkes. As you know, Northparkes got a large exploration tenement which is highly prospective. Northparkes is planning to continue doing exploration in those areas with the support of CMOC head office, and in later part of this interview the exploration team will make some comments about our exploration program.
The exploration potential of Northparkes is enviably high. Over its extended life of mine and history, Northparkes has discovered more than 20 porphyry systems within our licences across 3 different mining or exploration camps. Of those systems, 9 are or are currently planned to be production in the future. Considerable potential exists for the discovery of further systems both within our exploration licences and on our mining leases. This is exemplified by the discovery in 2017 of the MJH deposit, which lay some 200 metres laterally away from underground development within the E26 system. While work is ongoing to define the grade and scale of this deposit, this highlights the potential for future discoveries within our licences. Exploration and evaluation activities continue across these tenement packages and will likely do so for some time into the future. Previous exploration efforts at Northparkes have been targeted at defining ore systems where the ore zone outcrops at surface or close to surface. While this has been successful in the past, it leaves open the considerable opportunity for discovery of large-scale ore deposits in which the deposit's ore expression has not been exposed by erosion or is concealed either by post-mineral faulting or post-mineral cover. It must be stressed that the search space at Northparkes is by no means deep compared to global examples. We are generally only starting to scratch the surface and looking below 50 metres depth. With increased understanding of our deposits through the mining process and application of exploration research, we are gaining insights and understanding into the alteration halos and geochemical signatures that surround our existing deposits. This is the smoke that surrounds the fire that is our ore deposits. In layperson's terms, that means that by examining the smoke that is coming off the fire, we are able to target and focus in our exploration more effectively onto the higher grade, larger ore systems within our licences. The telltale clues that we look for in this smoke come from a range of data sets including geological, geochemical, geophysical and remote sensing and the application of sound ore body knowledge. Using the understanding gained of our ore deposits and the near ore signature that surrounds them, we are confident on delivering a new generation of exploration discoveries at Northparkes. The challenge in exploration is not so much finding targets that are worthy of further exploration, but being able to efficiently rank and prioritise the considerable targets that we have in our project pipeline today. There are more than 200 known prospects or targets that have been generated in recent years that are currently under evaluation or review. Northparkes' exploration activities are focused on delivering discoveries of deposits of scale, those systems which are able to sustain production well into the future.
Work following the discovery of MJH is straddled over two phases of work. The first phase was really to test or follow up the initial intercepts from the discovery and to test the extent of the mineralisation. So that was quite successful. In fact, one of the intercepts during the first phase of drilling returned 156 metres at 1.32% copper and 0.68 grams a tonne gold. So that was actually the highest intercept we've had at Northparkes outside of the known deposits in over 19 years. So we're very happy with that program. It justified following up further drilling, and that led to the phase 2. So phase 2 drilling really worked on defining the boundaries of the mineralisation, and we think we've been successful in defining the northern and eastern boundaries of the mineralisation. The southern extent is still open, particularly at depth, and it's sort of defined quite clearly two zones of higher grade mineralisation within MJH, within a sort of a halo of lower grade material that would sit above our current life of mine cutoff. So both of those programs have been very good. We've been very happy with them. We're currently modelling those results, creating a block model which will go into resource evaluations and further mining studies. So 2022 we'll continue drilling MJH plus other prospects in the area, but with MJH we're targeting to get our maiden JORC compliant resource out in 2022. As far as our knowledge of porphyries and the potential MJH, what that means for further discoveries at Northparkes, our understanding of the porphyries at Northparkes is that they occur in clusters, sort of like fingers of your upturned hand. So when it comes to further discoveries, the most prospective area to find a porphyry is near existing porphyries, and that's MJH is a classic example of that. And one of the benefits of MJH has been our increased understanding of the alteration around the current mineralisation zones. So this is in the barren rock that's not mineralised, but has very clear and distinct alteration halos. So as we're close to porphyries, we now understand what those signatures are, and in some cases what the vectors are towards the mineralisation. So as far as discovering future porphyries, we've come a long way in our understanding of that, and we're now applying that knowledge to our exploration results that we get. When you take that through to mining, where these porphyries occur close to existing mines or existing infrastructure, then and particularly if they are close enough that can be developed from existing infrastructure, then that certainly reduces the capital hurdle to develop those porphyries. So as far as expansion in mining operations going forward, MJH is a great example, and we see no reason why we can't find more of those around our current deposits. Where you get enough of these deposits occurring close enough to one another, and they can be, and the grade is continuous between the porphyries, then we find we can bulk those into larger caves, and that would result in more efficient mining operations into the future.
Well, Northparkes deposit is a typical porphyry copper, though it's similar to other porphyry copper deposit, but there's a variance as well, and especially when you come to the term of the geology, geometallurgy, and also the feed grade to the plant. And so the way we're looking back, actually in the past, you see our variability as the impact on the plant performance. And at the same time, actually, a feed grade matters as well, especially for gold production. So all we've been doing actually is trying to optimize from a geology, mining, and a metallurgy plan by taking the mine-to-mill approach, which means actually the geologist and the mining engineer, the metallurgist will work in the same team and try to optimize the whole production as a whole team, starting from mining side. And what we want to ensure is really to have the best blending strategy, making sure the plant feed grade is really optimal at different years. And the second part, actually, on the plant side, actually, we've been working through the really optimization process, making sure it doesn't matter actually how ore changes, we can maximize the gold recovery. At the same time, actually maintaining its very good quality for copper concentrate as well, which has been very successful. But not a lack of challenges. That's the remaining work and ongoing work we are working with. Hopefully we can achieve the best business outcome by doing that.
Northparkes for the last 28 years has had an outstanding relationship with all our stakeholders, both internal and external. From an external perspective, one of our key stakeholders is the First Nations, our local Indigenous group, the Wiradjuri. To manage that relationship, almost 10 years ago, or just over 10 years ago, we signed a one-of-its-kind relationship agreement in the Australian mining industry. That agreement is signed and partnered by representatives from Northparkes, representatives from Peak Hill Local Aboriginal Lands Council, and also the Wiradjuri Council of Elders. Within that relationship agreement, there is quarterly meetings where we discuss issues and generate ideas around certain initiatives that we can do to support those people within our community. That has led to the establishment of scholarship programs and other funding programs. Other important stakeholders to us here at Northparkes includes Parkshire Council, Forbeshire Council, and also just generally the local communities of both Parkes and Forbes and surrounding villages. With the increasing regulation occurring within the mining industry here in Australia and right around the world, our relationship with the regulators is also extremely important to us here at Northparkes Mines. We work hand in hand and very closely with regulators from a health and safety perspective, from a tailings facility perspective, and also from other environmental and compliance matters as well. We also from time to time have employees directly working with regulators, whether it's through audit programs and inspections or whether it's from compliance and introducing new legislation and providing feedback to the government on that as well. Northparkes, over the last 28 years, obviously to maintain operation and production, there is a range of permits, licences and approvals that we have in place. Externally, at this stage, we are currently going through a current modification to our development consent and also going through the process of various other updates to our permits and licences. During our history here at Northparkes, we have never breached or had a fundamental breach of any of our approvals, permits or licences, and once again just testifies that relationship that Northparkes does have with our regulators.
Yeah, New South Wales experienced a severe drought in 2019. We were able to mitigate the impact to site quite adequately at the time by utilising our long-term storage, and also working with the Berkshire Council to ensure that we've got sufficient supply. The drought broke in early 2020, and since then we've been able to recharge our long-term storage at the levels prior to the drought. The other strategies that we've incorporated was actually to increase our supply from the Berkshire Council. So this is the water pipeline running from Berkshire to Northparkes, and we increased our supply rate from about 80 litres a second to about 130 litres per second, which is sufficient to kind of help us through any kind of drought situation. The other program that we engaged was with the Berkshire Council, and this is actually putting in a third pipeline between our bores and the river offtakes in Forbes. And now this program will effectively give us full access to all of our water holdings that we do have at Forbes, and being able to utilise that. And then finally, we also got approval to actually install some bores at our site in Parkes as well, to actually further supplement our feed. Now, Australia will always be kind of exposed to droughts, and what we really want to do is make sure that through our operation is to optimise our water usage. At the moment we recycle about 50% of our water. Now down the line through innovation, we're trying to actually extend this beyond that.
So the footprint at Northparkes is managed now through basically a 4-stage process. Energy efficiency programs, economies of scale, technology development, and renewable energies. So let me first talk about energy efficiency. At Northparkes we got a multitude of smaller operational capital projects that continuously work to improve our energy efficiency. Parallel to that, this year we completed a expansion project which increased production with 20%. The 20% increase in production gave us economies of scale. We're pushing in essence 20% more tons through the ore processing plant with the same plant and equipment, thereby decreasing the unit energy per ton process. Now the third phase of our reducing carbon footprint is the work we do on the technology side. As you know, we got diesel loaders underground basically mining the ore, and we're working with equipment suppliers in converting these diesel loaders to battery operated loaders. However, when I'm saying that, the development of this technology is still in the early phases, and we're working with those equipment suppliers over the next few years to bring that technology to a practical, executable technology, which in essence will convert diesel loaders to battery operated loaders. The last part of, our program to reduce our carbon footprint is the way we purchase now electrical power supply to site. Now we purchase our electrical power through a normal retailer, but to reduce our carbon footprint, we basically buy energy certificates, and these energy certificates enable renewable energy suppliers to come into the market, thereby reducing the overall carbon footprint of electrical supplies into Northparkes.
I would once again like to thank you all for your time and for attending the Northparkes virtual mine tour today, and thank the management team for enabling this session and volunteering their time. As you've hopefully seen throughout this presentation, Northparkes is a world-class mine operated by a team of responsible and dedicated professionals, and demonstrates industry-leading ESG standards. We are extremely proud to have the Northparkes stream as a cornerstone asset within the Triple Flag portfolio, and look forward to the many decades ahead of this successful and fruitful partnership.